Hey folks, Real Honesty with Jonn Ritland. I'm Jonn Ritland. This is Unpopular Wrestling Opinion episode 10, where I'm going to talk about WWE's Women's Revolution. Because WWE is the only company that's ever used women's wrestling and women's wrestlers properly. Bullshit. Now, I'm not going to knock any of the current women. Even though I don't think Dana Brooke's very good. I don't think Aaliyah's that good. She's got time. She's young. And there are some women that I'm just simply not a fan of. All the women are working hard, trying to establish women's wrestling as being just as good as the men, if not better. They're going all out, working hard, have been working hard for a number of years, finally are starting to get the recognition for it. Impacted at first. I've talked about this stuff before. Look all the way back at Lockdown 2007. Gail Kim and Jacqueline having a great brawl outside of a cage and then inside of a cage. It was great stuff. Jacqueline, near the end of her career, Gail Kim, not necessarily in the beginning of her career, but near the beginning of her career, Jacqueline helped establish her. Think about Trinity doing a moonsault off a cage and at Lockdown 2005, if I recall. It was 2005 or 2006. I want to say it was 2005. So many other women have been used well in Impact. I mean, maybe not paid all that well. That's another story for another day. But the Knockouts Battle Royal to establish the first ever TNA Knockouts champion. It was still called TNA back then, by the way. Gail Kim, Roxy Laveau, Shelly Martinez, Christy Hemme, Awesome Kong, Angelina Love, who was known as Angel Williams back then, and then Talia Madison, known now as Velvet Sky. Not necessarily a fan of either of those last two. Me personally, that doesn't mean that I don't wish them well. But I don't understand how Velvet Sky got worse in the ring as her career went on. However, that's another story for another day. The whole point of this is from that point, they had a knockouts ladder match. Angelina Love and Roxy Laveau. Roxy Laveau, an incredibly underrated worker. Sarita. Rosita. You might recognize one of those two since they're paired with Andrade Cien Almas currently as Selena Vega, who's been an incredible talent. Evilise, who's now in Lucha Underground. You had Lady Tapa, the niece of the Barbarian. ODB. ODB was an incredible character in Impact Wrestling. You had Victoria and Mickie James, who were reignited and reinvented practically in Impact Wrestling after not being used that well at all for the past couple of years in their WWE career. And various other women also. There are plenty of great women, but the Angelina Love and Roxy Laveau Knockouts ladder match, that was where I believe Roxy got busted open bad. There was plenty of good, well-established matches that Impact did with the women way before WWE ever even thought of, because they still wanted to have Ashley Mazzaro, and Ashley tried, but she wasn't very good. She may have been rushed back from injury, but the whole point is that during this time, WWE, even though they had, from the time Impact was, had its inception, TNA Wrestling had its inception back in 2002, all the way to 2013, and even 2014, they were knocking it out of the park. The women were knocking it out of the park, and still are to this day. Even as women are leaving the company and coming back, leaving the company, and the roster is very, very depleted, the women are still working hard. Sienna and Rosemary in particular are a couple that are really, really establishing themselves well and are doing some great blood feuds and doing showing great effort and great solid work ethic. Now, Impact, the whole point of this is Impact did a lot of this stuff before WWE. WWE treated the women like it was dog shit on the bottom of her shoe. I mean, I'm sorry, they did. And that's nothing against the women. That's nothing against women personally. I wasn't even a big fan of Kelly Kelly. Still not. At least as an in-ring character. I don't mean as a person. She couldn't really run the ropes for anything. But you know what? She had a 6-year career. Cool. Go back into the 90s. China being established as a different kind of woman. Bodybuilder. Beth Phoenix, Natalia, Charlotte, even though Charlotte was Ric Flair's daughter. Those kind of statuesque women and the way that, the way they were built, not traditionally like stick models, which is a good thing, were allowed to be in wrestling. And Beth Phoenix, one of my favorite workers. incredibly good worker. Victoria, former fitness competitor. Trish Stratus, former fitness competitor. Lita, Molly Holly, maybe not a fitness competitor. Molly Holly was a great worker. Medusa, so many damn women. Bull Nakano, Akira Hokuto. And some just fantastic women throughout the damn years. Going back to the 80s with WCCW, doing some great stuff with Sunshine and Precious, having some great brawls and this kind of stuff, even if they weren't official matches. Baby Doll in the NWA, even though she maybe necessarily wasn't a wrestler. The Jumping Bomb Angels in WWE, the short time that they had a WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. The Glamour Girls, Lonnie Kai and Judy Martin. A lot of really just great women. Mae Young, willing to take a powerbomb from Bubba Ray Dudley back in, I want to say, 99, 2000. And Mae was in her 70s at that point and said, throw me through that fucking table. Because Mae was a gamer. And Mae showed the passion that women, could have for wrestling. Even into her 70s or 80s. And maybe even to like her very last appearances in her late 80s. Michelle McCool, never was necessarily a fan of her, didn't really care for her, but she did work hard and did try to get better. Layla, I loved. So many other women. But going back to the China thing, think about how China, even though, me personally, I was not a fan of China. I wasn't. But that doesn't mean I can't recognize the accomplishments she had. It doesn't mean that I can't recognize the fact, first female Intercontinental Champion. First woman to compete in 2 Royal Rumbles. Beth Phoenix is the only other woman that I could think of that has competed in another Rumble. And the unfortunate thing is she had to kiss the Easter Island statue that is the Great Khali. But that opened the door. So bravo to China for doing that, even though China had her personal issues after her WWE career, through some fault of her own, through the fault of others in some ways. There's different stories and everything, and I'm not going to get into that. But the whole point is China helped establish that. Going back a little further, Sunny could cut a promo, was passionate about wrestling, was never a wrestler. Maybe I don't necessarily care for what Sunny's doing now. That's her life, though. But she showed passion. She was a lot better than another goddamn blonde that they had. And this is one where I'm going to knock. Sable was a freaking idiot. Sable was an idiot in the ring. I'm not going to use the C word like I have before when I refer to women that I don't like. I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you that's what Sable was in wrestling. Now, not in life. Her and Brock seem happy together, and that's great. Sable never belonged in the goddamn wrestling business, no matter how many big ratings she got. That's only because the 2 Vinces just fell in love with Sable for whatever reason. Sorry, if you guys like Sable, great. Okay, fine. If you guys found Sable attractive, great. Fine. I didn't. I would have rather put a goddamn ice pick through my brain than ever thought of sleeping with that goddamn bimbo Barbie doll. And that's what she was. But other women, at the time, Jacqueline was tough as hell. Luna was tough as hell. Luna had to work with Sable, and Luna probably wanted to tear her damn head off. And I wouldn't have blamed Luna for it. Luna from the Fashawn family, the extended Fashawn family wanted to be great in the ring. And you think about the fact that Sable was women's champion. At a time when Medusa was still wrestling, I mean, granted, she kind of wanted to retire a bit. She was in WCW at the time. But she was wrestling. You had other women that could have done so much better. Ivory is a worker that is forgotten about, and that's ridiculous. I would have rather given it to goddamn Moolah than given it to Sable. Even though Moolah didn't come back until after Sable left the company. But you think about what WWE has done, and we're treating the women just as good as the men. You're not paying them as good as the men, though. You might want to start upping the pay a little bit. Because then the women can actually do some great... I mean, look, according to some figures that have been leaked, Emma was earning under $100,000 a year. Now, I know Emma had been injured quite a bit. But you're telling me Emma, the incredible worker she was, wasn't worth at least $150,000 a year? Yet you're paying Brock Lesnar, you're paying various other people how many millions of dollars? Now, I'm not saying Emma and Brock are on the same goddamn level, though Emma at least puts effort into her goddamn matches and has for a number of damn years. But you're telling me the women don't deserve to be paid at least somewhat equal to the men? They're being paid better than they were in Impact. I will say that much. And that was one of the only faults that Impact had with the women, is they weren't paying them that well. Dutch Mantel, however, did a great job with the women and did a great job booking them properly and working with them and everything. Of course, if he ever gave the women to Russo, he wouldn't know what to do because he doesn't care about goddamn wrestling. He sure as hell doesn't care about goddamn ring psychology. I mean, that's pretty damn obvious. But, I already ran it on Russo. Check out my Raw review, by the way, and you'll see what I mean. For all the stuff that WWE's done, yes, they have established the women's revolution, their women's revolution well. The Abu Dhabi match, though, it may have been the first title match, the women's title match, but you had, if I'm right, Angelina Love and Madison Rayne, don't quote me on that, but it was part of a overseas thing that Impact was doing in 2010? I think 2010, if I remember right. Somebody told me about it, and I forget the exact year. It was 2010 or 2011. The whole point, it was way before WWE did it. And yes, Sasha and Alexa getting to do that is great, and on that grand scale. But Impact did it first. Now, Impact has faltered. They don't have nearly as many women as they used to. And that's unfortunate, because Impact has shown that they can use women a lot better than WWE has. Because sometimes WWE has all this wealth of talent, and NXT's using them better than the main rosters are. The main roster of Raw or Smackdown. And that's unfortunate given the amount of talent. The amount of young talent and veteran talent. I'm not saying old talent. Young talent and veteran talent. You have this mix, and you can't use them better. You just throw them into one damn segment, and then you have a DQ after 3 goddamn minutes for the main event of Raw. Oh, fuck that. And then you have Stephanie, and I'm sorry. Stephanie may be a lovely person. She probably isn't. But Stephanie coming out there, oh, you women have established this, and Stephanie taking all the goddamn credit because she just can't stay the fuck out of the way. And that's ridiculous. The women worked hard, Stephanie, like hell you've ever worked hard. You never even could wrestle a goddamn lick, and you never should have tried. Especially at SummerSlam 2014. That match with the Bellas was ridiculous. Well, Brie. And then Nikki turned on Brie. Shocking. The Bellas are another duo I don't want to see come back to the wrestling ring. Sorry, I just don't. Nikki, I hope that, her neck is healed and she can have a really, really good life. Brie, I have no desire to see her back in the ring. Unfortunately, we will see them back in the ring. And that's fine if you guys are fans of them. Cool, whatever. I'm not. I never have been. I have said unkind things in the past, mainly on Twitter, in regards to Nikki, because I didn't like the push Nikki was getting, because I didn't think Nikki deserved to have the title for that long, just to break AJ Lee's record, which was petty as fucking. AJ Lee's somebody that got pushed out of the company way too soon. Caitlyn was somebody that worked pretty damn hard, and a lot of other women did too. Melina also, never the biggest fan of Melina. But anyway, I'm just wanting to say this before I move on to a little rant about the Women's Royal Rumble at the end. WWE needs to use their women better. They got 3 hours on Raw, 2 hours on SmackDown, 1 hour on NXT. NXT's using their women better than Raw and SmackDown do sometimes. I know that there are only so many segments and you have so many talents and whatever. You can't use the women better. Now, you got Dana Brooke hopefully out of the ring, and that's probably a good thing, even though making her the second coming of Alexandra York, a.k.a. Terry Runnels, who, sorry, was a better talker than Dana could ever be. That might be the best role for Dana, keeping her outside the ring. Maybe getting her to train, and maybe she'll be better. Okay, whatever. But they need to use their women a lot better. They really do. Because Impact was years ahead of them on this. Yes, Impact has faltered. But Impact was years ahead of WWE on using the women properly. And in ladder matches and cage matches and battle royals and this kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to move on to the Women's Royal Rumble. It could be 20 women, it could be 30 women. I think that if they had a women, because the pre-show is going to be 2 hours. The main show is going to be 4. So if you have 2 rumbles and you make them 30 men, 30 people each. You make it 30 men and 30 women. Okay. I'm not saying you can't do it. You could have some returns happen. But it would be returns where women were willing to come out and basically do a job. If they still wanted to be in wrestling. You could have some debuts. I don't know if Veda Scott signed. I mean, I seem to have a huge crush on Veda Scott. But which, if you see her, how could I not? Bring her in! Why haven't you signed Veda Scott yet? I mean, if Veda Scott signed with Stardom or Shimmer or something like that, okay. I'm not too familiar with contracts, forgive me. Have Jazzy Gabbard appear? I mean, I don't know if she signed with Stardom or whatever, but have her appear. Have various women appear in this thing if you're going to make it 30. Because you got enough women on Raw and SmackDown and some in NXT. But you're going to have some returns and some debuts, even if they're one-offs or whatever. Just have something happen. I would have 20 women, and I would have Paige versus Alexa for the Raw Women's title. And I would have Charlotte versus Ruby Riott for the SmackDown Women's title. And the reason I would have that is that way you create something where, okay, these women, okay, whoever wins for this particular brand could face their respective champion at WrestleMania. I would have Asuka win and face Paige. I think an Asuka-Paige feud is money. This is the unfortunate thing. You know what it's going to be? It's going to probably be Ronda Rousey. They're probably going to have Ronda Rousey debut at number 20 or 30, how many ever women they have. And Ronda Rousey's going to win the goddamn thing because like the Mae Young Classic, they used it just as a way to get Ronda Rousey signed because they used Shayna Baszler. Sorry, Shayna, I'm sure you're a lovely person. You're a lousy-ass wrestler and you shouldn't be in the wrestling business. Now, I'm all for giving women a chance, but she got worse from her first match to the finals. You can be a fan, not be a fan of Kairi Sane, but nobody could have a good goddamn match with Shayna Baszler. Now, could she get better? Possibly. It's also possible I could get struck down by lightning or become a multimillionaire the next day. I just don't see the appeal with Shayna Baszler. I would go with a 4 horsewomen of WWE versus 4 horsewomen of MMA. I don't know why I'm spacing my fingers so apart like it's Vader time or Live Long and Prosper, one of the two. I would have that. I would not have Ronda Rousey debut at the Rumble. I would have her debut the next night. If they have Ronda Rousey win the Rumble, then what that could mean is Charlotte holds the title till then, and then Ronda wins the championship. Or they give it to, they say have paid, oh God, watch them have Ronda beat Asuka for the title at Mania. Oh God. Oh Jesus. Then this is my whole point. Would I be opposed to Ronda being in the Women's Rumble? Yes, because that means then that she's going to have to win with the way they're wanting to establish her. It would almost be comical to see the reactions from some people on Twitter because I've had my own angry reactions to a lot of things too. Like Enzo. And I'll get into that in another video. But if they have Ronda Rousey win the Women's Royal Rumble, seriously, it's just like what they did with the Mae Young Classic. It's ridiculous. Just take it, throw it in the goddamn trash. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What in the world would WWE be saying to the women that have been busting their asses for a number of years and been battling through injuries and all this stuff? No, we're going to give it to this MMA fighter with a glass jaw that ran away like a coward when she lost. Now, I do want to say this much about Ronda Rousey. I'm glad that apparently after her loss to Holly Holm, she contemplated suicide. I'm glad she got her mind straight, and I'm glad she didn't do that. Okay? Yeah, she trash-talked a whole bunch of stuff and got an ego and everything got popped. It's good that Ronda did not do that and that she could live her life. Because, sure, character-wise, maybe she's not the best person. But it's good that she did not take her own life. I do want to say that much. But Ronda Rousey is a WWE talent. Winning the Women's Royal Rumble, car wreck. Absolute goddamn car wreck. It would be ridiculous. It would be the worst. The worst thing. Because then she's got to win at Mania. Or if she wins the Royal Rumble and just goes into the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen thing, then you wasted a chance to establish a big feud with a winner going for a championship. Like, say, Asuka or something like that. And the only reason I would say Asuka is because I don't think Paige should win. I think Paige should be champion by the Rumble. Her versus Alexa. Or Paige can win the title from Alexa on the first Raw of the new year. And then you have a rematch or something like that a little bit later. And then you have Paige as champion. Asuka wins. Asuka and Paige have a stare down on Raw the next night. And then you build to something where Asuka can take out Absolution a little bit here and there. And it would be a way to build it, and you got enough of a chance to do a slow build. Tell me that isn't a match you want to see. But seeing Asuka, have to job to Ronda Rousey if they possibly go that route, Take all your plans for the Women's Revolution, you throw it in the goddamn trash. My trash can, it's over here. Throw it in the fucking trash. That is ridiculous. Ronda Rousey should not even touch the Women's Royal Rumble. Because she's not revolutionary in the sport of wrestling. And that's what WWE is. Even though they say sports entertainment, they're still fucking wrestling. And that's what they need to be. Ronda Rousey, if they want to do that tag match, that 4-on-4 tag match, cool. Great. But don't you dare have her win the Rumble. Or it will be worse than what they did with Money in the Bank when James Ellsworth won, got the briefcase for Carmella. And even though I laughed at that and said, okay, that's a way to get great heat, it did take the shine away from the women, and that wasn't the way to go. Even though with Ellsworth and Carmella, it sort of made sense, it ended up having a huge backlash. I understand why they did it, but it would be worse. Ronda Rousey winning the Women's Royal Rumble will be catastrophic. So don't you dare do this. So anyway, folks, and I do want to say this. I am recording this before SmackDown, and I hope you have enjoyed this. So if you guys see this, if this goes up after SmackDown or anything, I really do appreciate you guys for watching my videos. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, let me know your favorite moments. Do you agree? Do you disagree with what I said about Impact Wrestling doing women's wrestling better than WWE for a number of years? And that's not faulting the women. I mean the creative staff behind it. I mean the wrestling company. Not faulting the women at all. Even the ones I mentioned I don't necessarily like, they tried to take bumps, except Sable. Sable didn't know how to take a bump. She just had big bumps. That's all she had. But like, share, subscribe. Twitter link in the description. It's been Real Honesty with Jonn Ritland. I am Jonn Ritland, and I will see you soon.